Alright, we should get started. Maybe we can do this in less than an hour since there's not a whole lot on the agenda so far. So let's start with Ricky.
Hi, good morning. Um, cool. Yeah, tomorrow we have our last weekly push. Um, if you've read your email since from Friday, James emailed the team about continuous deployment. So we basically got thumbs up for that, and we'll be starting to do that. More frequent pushes to production after this week's push. So that's pretty cool. I linked there to the current sprint that we're working on, which is 2012.5, 2012.5. So we're about at the halfway mark, and that goes till next Monday, and we should start thinking about what we're gonna do in the next sprint. And since Kadir isn't here, I'm not. Oh, I guess he'll be back next Monday. But anyway, if people have thoughts of what needs to go out, then it's time to think about that.
Um,
Yeah.
I have a
Go
couple
ahead.
questions. So this continuous deployment. So the idea is that you have a sprint, you have all these bugs in the sprint. As you fix them, not quite as you fixed it. As you fix them, do they get applied to production, or how does that work?
Yeah, pretty much. We would deploy the stage and test it out, like just make sure the deploy worked, and then deploy it to production. I mean, we might do maybe once a day, or every other day, or twice a
Oh,
day.
okay.
So yeah.
Wow. So the idea is then you just follow. This is what's happening in the sprint, and then these things basically, every day or two or so, some of these things may start showing up.
Yep. So we were thinking like we won't mark them as fixed until they land in production, so that there's no confusion. Like
Uh,
now we mark as fixed, but it's not even on stage yet.
right.
So now if it's marked as fixed, it's on production, and that should be less confusing
Yeah,
to
that's
the run
awesome.
people. Yeah.
Yeah, then you can follow a bug, and then when you get the email that it's fixed, then oh, let me go check it out.
Yeah, and just high level, what we're working on right now is I was doing marketplace stuff, some branding changes and style changes, some small things that we had to get done, and we're making progress on the questions change so that we hide older questions without answers. Probably more than halfway done with that, so it should be done in the next few days, and we're still working on search improvements. So yeah, it's pretty
So
much.
the thing for the next sprint, which starts next week, um, so that was the thing Kadir said. Of course, that he wanted to start. Crap. Sorry, I clicked the wrong thing on my. Kadir said he wanted to start blogging about that, like he did, a couple weeks ago. But now he's on vacation. So,
Yep.
what kind of stuff is already being planned for the next sprint, or
Uh,
has anything? Have you started? Have you guys planned anything for that yet?
oh, no, not yet.
Oh, I see.
So yeah, if there's stuff that's coming up that needs to get done, and yeah, whatever.
Is there?
Whatever you think is very important, just bring it up, and
Okay.
and that's me.
Any other questions for Ricky? What's going on in the IRC? Sorry, I'm just putting a link in there.
Yeah, which is wrong. So I'll put the right link when it's my turn to talk.
Well, I think it's your turn to talk now. That's
Okay,
why I was.
perfect. Cool.
Okay.
Uh, So as you know, last week we finished the article sorting test. So thank you all who have done it. So we've analyzed the results and what is it? And I've shared the article sort of renaming work with Verdi, and I've also shared the synonym list for search engines about related topics with eBay. So we're good to go on that. Last week, I've also worked on a to-do list. I know we've talked about this for quite some time. I know that David, for example, wants to see a concrete sort of job description as to like, hey, if we're going to like bring on a new content strategist or whoever, what's the job descriptions going to look like? What's the weekly sort of to-do list, how many hours it's going to take. So I'm actually working on that document right now. And in addition to that, I'm also documenting, I'm going through Susan's document and I'm picking through for things that we could put into Bugzilla. So like design related things or content related things, like we should add this, we should remove this, we should consolidate this article, rename this article. We should make the search, like the search box longer, or the button to have the word search on it or stuff like that. So I'm moving all of that into one document. So you all can look at it, I think at the end of today or tomorrow, which I'll share. And so it's primarily actually made for Kadir because he actually needs to like see progress on like, hey, while we're working on the design, what can you guys sort of work on the development side and on the content side? So that's what I'm working on. And this week, we are going to run the new sitemap. We're going to run a test on it and ask people to find the same like tasks. Like if you remember the last test, we had like 12 tasks or something like that we had people to find on the old sitemap. So this week, we're going to run it on the new sitemap. And the URL to that is this. So you can actually click on it. So no result will be recorded, but if you click on it, you'll see what the new information architecture will look like and how things are. It's not the complete sitemap yet, but it's going to show you, like just hit continue or whatever, and it's going to show you that the new sitemap, is like the new information architecture is going to be organized by topics, for instance. So so this is how it's how the information is going to be structured. So the task is exactly the same. We're going to ask people, task number 1, find out how you can make Firefox work faster, and find out how you can erase personal information, private browsing, like all of those topics we've identified. So we're just going to be using the new sitemap. So this is what we're going to run this week. And so next week, we are going to deliver the actual like sitemap / information architecture, and we're going to do a presentation similar to the presentation that we've done last time on the test and on the article sorting. So that's what's going to happen for this next week or two. And after that, I think we can start actually paper prototyping the actual like design and how the structure will look, and then we'll test the paper prototypes.
Very cool. Where are you guys going to test the paper prototypes?
I think the paper prototype test will happen in Portland, I believe. So we're going to actually ask people to like, hey, click here, but we're going to basically use papers, to replace the computer interaction.
Right.
So what I'll do is I'll draw a lot of things. I'll probably take a week or two to actually draw all of the pages with a few alternatives, like, hey, what if the sidebar is here? What if the navigation is put to the bottom and whatever? And we'll actually test each alternatives, but we'll continue testing them with the same like 13 tasks that we've identified in the beginning of the thing. We'll ask people to find the same thing, but this time we'll put a visual on it.
Right.
So then what will happen is that after we refine those paper prototypes, we can actually start designing things digitally using computer. and then you can actually start seeing like, hey, this is how the colors will look like and stuff like that. So that will happen after the paper prototype phase. So that's what's going to happen.
Okay. Any questions for Bram?
So the meeting to
Yes?
present the new information architecture has that been scheduled?
No, that hasn't been scheduled yet. So I will probably need to schedule that, but it'll probably be at the end of next week or something. What we'll do before then is actually deliver the information architecture so you all can look at it. But if you don't, well, just wait for the meeting and we'll kind of run you through it.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, so think somewhere between March, like Thursday, March the 15th, or Friday the 16th, something like that. And if everything works correctly, we plan on having the information architecture itself, like like the raw document or whatever, be finished by like next Monday or next Tuesday, the 12th or the 13th. So that's the timeline that Susan had in mind, and I think it's pretty. I think it's pretty realistic because if we run the test tomorrow, we should get results in just a couple of hours, and we can spend the second half of the week analyzing it and then revise it. So. Yep.
Cool. Do we have data from the tests that you've been running? I mean, do you have data that we can see that shows the results of the tests?
Yes, actually, I can actually share the data for the optimal sort tests. So this is basically the same. It's the same document that I have shared to Verdi. But Verdi will obviously have the capability to to like edit and whatever. But I'll just share you I'll just give you the URL here in a second. So just give me a second. So this is the sorting test. So it'll tell you how people have grouped articles under which like buckets or which topics. So let me share this. Save. Okay. So. Okay, so I've just posted that into the IRC room, and so anyone can look at it, and yeah, you can basically see a bunch of numbers. But if you want to see, the first sheet should have all the information you need, but the second sheet has actually the data, and you'll basically see numbers and topics. So everything should be self-explanatory. But things that we recommend things to be renamed. For example, it's labeled in blue and green, and things that are where a lot of people got things wrong, that's red. Where a lot of people are unsure, that's yellow, and things like that. And then we actually, Susan and I actually, we had like a 4-hour meeting or something like that, and actually went through this and checked like, hey, whether this needs to be put into another topic, whether this article will work in the existing topic or whatever. So yeah, so this is the raw document. This represents our thinking, and then hopefully the new article name would go on like the very last column there, or the very last column. So
Okay. So this would be the baseline for the test that you're running this week on the new architecture. So we'd be able to have something to compare against the results we get this week.
well, actually, this is actually a different. Well, this I should clarify. This is actually a different test. This will tell you though the number of articles that we currently have on SUMO, and so this will be the raw material for the test next weekend, because what we're testing is the sitemap, right? And we're populating the sitemap with actual articles, and we're actually taking the article names from here. We're not taking the rename ones, but we're taking it from here. the results of the first test has been actually shared a long time ago. Let me just grab the URL again. Sorry for the confusion. Let me just grab the URL again. So hold on. It
It's not.
is.
Sorry. I think it's me that's confused, not you. But I see. There's the card sorting, and then there's the tree jack test that's before that, which
Yep.
is actually the baseline for the testing of the new information architecture that you're
Yeah,
doing this
and
week. I get it.
yep, the tree jack test is actually a little more complicated, but the link, let me post it. So the link to the previous tree jack test is. So there you go. So you can actually look at that. So if you pay attention to nothing else, pay attention to sheet number 2, which has the analysis, because the rest of the data is just, I spent a lot of hours to, like just kind of sorting through it, because it's kind of, there's a lot of things, and, our old information architecture is kind of messy. But anyway, that's what we had to work with. And my analysis is on page 2. So that's that. So hopefully what we hope to achieve is that on page 2, you should see the overall success and overall success percentage and the paths that users are taking to get to the right information. So we're hoping to actually increase the overall success rate, right? So if we can increase that to, like more than 75% or whatever for every task. If you notice today, we had a bunch of tasks with like 1% where basically only like 1 people out of 100 can like find the right target. So if we can boost that number up to like 75% and up, we should be on the right place, because that means a lot of the articles are, or actually a lot of the tasks that we have identified as being important tasks can be accessed easily now, and people are not confused by the naming and stuff like that. So yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I have not seen this data yet, so this is interesting. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Any more questions for Brahm?
Well, Vito has a question in IRC. He says, um, in the test results, all articles are created equal. Uh, but he's saying that may not be realistic. Uh, he's asking about the top 20. So is this based on the top 20 most hit articles, Brown?
Yeah, it's partly, so it's based off two things. It is based on like the 100 most viewed page, which should represent the top 20 most hit articles, right? Because most viewed page, most hit articles, most of the pages that are hit are actually article pages in a support website. So it is. But that's just one of the data. The other set of the data is the search query. So if most people searches for like bookmarks, and like the number one query is for bookmarks, well, that means a lot of people need to find bookmarks, right? So we actually base it off two sources, which is top pages, which tells you which only tells you part of the story, because it could be that that articles that are most viewed because they are located close by the top. So that could be biased as well, right? So to kind of normalize against that, we also did analysis on the search result page. So like, hey, if people are frustrated and they can't find it, they can actually get to the right article. So we took those two, and what we did with those two data sources is so what we do on the data sources is we compare the two, and we actually make top tasks. We identified like 15 top tasks. So from those two data sources. So, but anyway, that's that.
Yeah, just to further the thing, I guess, that Vito's asking about. I mean, by far the top article on SUMO is the thing about the Windows Media plugin, which I don't think anyone really has a question about. It's that everyone gets that stupid Babylon toolbar, and they don't have the new version of the Windows Media plugin, so it gives them a big ugly link that just links to Sumo, and that's how they end up on that article, like 180,000 people a week or something. Or like the plugin crash reports. Again, I don't think people don't search for plugin crash reports. 99% of the people who go to that article, which is like 140,000 people a week, they go there because they click the little question mark on the crash UI, because the crash UI doesn't explain how to get their video back. So they click the question mark, and then they go to the article, which says, go back and reload the darn page. Anyway. So we have a lot of articles like that get a lot of hits, but not, I think, because people are particularly interested in the answer,
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, anything else?
Hooray. Exciting, Bram. I'm really excited. This is cool. We're really getting somewhere now.
Yep. And then in the meantime, when you see the to-do list, I'm sure you'll see a lot of like things that you can actually do today. Like, hey, like you should consolidate this and rename this and make this topic, and because we've identified several areas, so that
Yep.
should actually be a lot of hours to put in. So I feel a little scared putting the hours, but hey, it's there. But it should be plenty of things to do while we're doing the redesign, and hopefully like the two combined should amount to like a marked improvement.
Yep. Yeah, there's a ton of recommendations, but I know Michael's brain is on it. Mine is too. I've been reading through them over and over, so it's a lot of good stuff. But yeah, a lot of stuff to do.
Okay. Roundtable? Let's move on to roundtable. So I put a thing in there about the Firefox Clinic. So I posted like late Friday afternoon about the Firefox Clinic in the contributor forum, but just so people know about it. The basic idea is we're going to have an event in San Francisco on March 24th. We're going to invite the public to come in and get one-on-one help with Firefox. So we'll be advertising like in local event calendars or Craigslist or Facebook or things like that. The newspaper. Are you having problems with Firefox? Sign up here. Come into the office. Bring your computer if you can. If not, just you can work us through what the problem is, and we'll help you. So it'll give us an opportunity to work with Firefox users. Always, especially if you've ever answered questions in the forum and you've gone back and forth with people, in vaguely real time, you learn all kinds of things from people. You're like, wow, I'm surprised that they see this issue, or I wouldn't have thought of things to see this way. Now I understand how they got confused about this. It made sense to me, but I answer questions all the time, so those kind of things we'll get to see, like live in person. Part of the idea is we're putting this on here in San Francisco where it's easy, like we have a space, there's lots of people that can come and help. But we're trying to put together a package so that people can recreate this. We'll have tips for the people who are answering questions. We'll have things to hand out to the people who are showing up that have questions to be answered. We can hopefully develop like this worked really well. Oh, we should have done this if we'd only have known. Those kind of things will write up afterward, and hopefully make it easy for people to be able to do this wherever. Maybe we can do this once a quarter, once a month. Maybe we can do this all over the world at the same time, or whatever.
I like that idea.
Yeah. So that's the gist of it. It's on my to-do list to spam everybody with blog posts and Twitter and Yammer and everything for the next 3 weeks. So hopefully you will know all the things you ever wanted to know and more about it before March 24th. Yeah. Michelle, do you want to? Oh, or is there any questions about Firefox Clinic? Oh, I think you can also just ask questions in the forum thread too that I started. Um, Michelle, you want to say something about the Sumo Day?
Yeah. Awesome Sumo Day. We answered over 90%, 95, 96% of the questions asked on Thursday, which is awesome. Yay. Great job, everyone. Um, I will post more details of, how many questions were asked later this week. I didn't get time to get the data out on Friday. But one thing Ebi and I were talking about was what's the rate of return on the answers that we post these days. I don't know what our baseline was when we started Sumo Days as far as how many original posters come back and give more information for questions that require more information. Like we think maybe 20% of the questions don't need more interaction. Maybe it's just a one answer thing. Um, so of the 80% that do, how many come back? If you would post back your stats for
Oh yeah.
Ebi and me, I think it was like maybe 70% of the total come back and give more information. Maybe 50 to 70%. It looked like for both of us, just based on the small number of questions. Um, I was trying to find, I know that Ed Meister posted something about this in a recent conversation that maybe his guess was 50% for him, like the half of the people come back and give more info. So I'd be interested to see what your experience is and how we're doing there. I think that's sort of a good metric to look at, as we get a more regular um, situation where we're answering all the questions. We, of course, want to look at quality and how we can improve that. And I think that, our interactions with people, how many people come back and respond to us, um, is critical to that. So it's something people talked about at the meeting, the community meeting. Rosanna and Madalena, you were there last week. That definitely came up. The live chat folks want to have that kind of experience. Ricky, you were there. So I think it's something interesting to talk about.
Do you have a is there a thread where we're posting this? Where we should
No,
post it?
no, there's not a thread yet. Um, uh, Chang is putting in the in IRC that he can get actual stats on this.
Oh.
Chang, that would be cool.
All right, so I just want to know exactly what you're looking for. So you're looking for the number of threads where someone comes back to reply, or is if someone comes back to reply, or if they mark it solved, or vote in any other way.
Ebi, which should it be? I don't know. You're the data man.
Either of them should work, and yeah, I think that you can get that from the database, right?
Yep.
Is it? But the way I heard what you were saying, Michelle, is that some of it is like a little bit about was a reply, required? Like not all. Some questions it seems like people ask a straightforward question, you give them a straightforward answer. Probably no other interaction is needed.
Right, but they should still mark it solved, right?
Well, yeah.
I mean, that's the goal. The goal is we want them to mark it solved at that point.
We do.
So I think those should count. Or not. I mean, I don't know. If you don't think they should count, then I can not do them. I just wanted to kind of get a sense.
No, I was just
For
trying
me,
to understand what the
they should
scope was.
count.
Okay.
Yeah.
Madalena, what do you think? Do you have thoughts on this?
So when it comes to reporting, I think it's important that we have the. I mean, it's tough to decide on which is the best, but what we're looking for basically it's so we answer something where a contributor answers something and then requests more information, and then how many people actually from the ones that originally put this question can come back and give the information, right? So I guess that's the main thing we need to focus on. How many people come back with the information? Do I make sense, or
Yep.
is it super confusing?
Yeah, I think solved is it's a little bit tricky, but
Yeah, because solved is like asking somebody to mark it as solved. Some people do, some don't. So it's really up to the person, because a question might be solved, but then the person just doesn't mark it as solved because he forgot, or he forget, or he doesn't really care.
Right, but I think isn't the thing that we want the data is useful for contributors, right? The contributors want to know how many people they want to know how many people are actually coming back, right? And how often the things are being read. And so marking it solved is information for the contributors that the users come back. Right?
Yeah,
It's
that's one of the points, but information for when a user comes back is also when he posts something, like he replies to the thread, right?
Yeah, that's what we're saying, that we count both as
we count both, yes.
a
Yeah.
follow-up. Because at the end of the day, what some contributors are not comfortable with is the fact that they answer something and they never got an answer, basically.
Yeah.
Right.
And then there are other threads that I found when counting that even if you answer, it's not that weird that they don't follow up. There was this guy asking about Firefox sync configuration. He explained the situation, and the answer was like, "Yes, you are all set." Is he supposed to mark that as solution? I
Yeah, I
don't
mean,
think so.
I think he should because it answered his question, right?
Yeah, but it's
Yeah, but
really edgy, right?
But
I don't
how
know.
many edge
I don't.
cases are we looking at? Like, I mean, think about how much data. 3,000 posts a week? Like, you have to say that that's probably a 1 in 3,000 edge case. Like, if you want automatic data, I can't automatically figure out if a question should have a response or not. There's no automatic way of doing so. So if you want automatic data, you're going to have to make some kind of
Yeah,
concession.
yeah. I mean
okay.
that's the
Well,
point, and
I
I'm
didn't ask
comfortable.
for.
I'm comfortable with that. The thing is that Cheng, we can take this offline, but basically, I think that we agree. I'm just
Yeah.
pointing that there are several different levels, and I think that the cut, doing the cut at solution plus follow up is good enough.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was only asking for anecdotal data
Okay.
at this time, really. You offered automatic, which is fine, but I think anecdotal data is interesting too, and it's just as helpful. Like, how did the 30 people who are answering questions on the forum feel? Like, does it feel like 20% or does it feel
Yeah.
like 70?
right.
That was my only point. I think it feels pretty good. Like I spent maybe 5 hours answering questions and I felt like I got responses from the, most of the people I needed more information from. So that's my experience. Feel free to share yours. Okay, that's it for me.
Anything else for the roundtable? Refreshing. Okay. Firefox status update. Anything to add there?
Let's see. Really not that much. It's going to be release week next week. So it's bordering on the edge of craziness now. I expect week to this week of where things start to go nuts, and then next week is the week when it really goes nuts. But other than that, we think that there is a problem with page load times in Firefox 11. So if you see slow page loads, especially, it doesn't seem to happen in the office, so it might be only happen with like certain network settings. Especially if you're working from home and you see slow page loads, please let us know. That's all I got.
Metrics. Anything to say about metrics?
I should probably pull metrics for Kadir because he hasn't done it because he's been away. I'll see if I can do it for him.
okay?
I don't have anything for mobile.
Okay.
I don't have anything really new.
Knowledge base. So I just put this line in here and I'll explain it, but I'll have to post about it later because I have like this long blog post. It's not blog post, but contributor forum post. It's way too long. So I'm going to try to shrink it to something manageable today and post it. But this is the basic idea. Um, so, one of Susan's recommendations, especially around current issues, is about having articles for things like named about the issue, um, and the one of the problems with this is, well, there's a couple of issues around this. So a lot of this information is like transient. It's only a problem for a week or a month or something, right? And then that information is totally obsolete, or it's solved by just updating Firefox, those kind of things. And there's lots of them, and there's like a judgment call. Like, is this a big enough problem to make an article about, or it's really only a couple of people. We should just keep pointing them to the forum thread where it's solved, right? And those kind of things. And so some of that's subjective too. The other issue around this is that when a release is happening and all that stuff, all those issues are coming out and people are saying, hey, I'm having this problem, hey, I'm having this problem, that's exactly the time when we also have to document the next release. So there's like this competition for time, at least for me. And so one of the ways that I was thinking about we might try to tackle this is, it would be awesome if we could form a team of people who are interested in tracking those issues and documenting them. Whatever. This is the issue. Here's the forum. Maybe an article starts as a description of the problem and a link to a forum thread, and then it grows like, okay, well, here are the 5 steps that they talk about in that forum thread. We just make it real simple, and that's this version of the document. And then, you know what? Next week, 1101 comes out, and that solves the problem, and the article gets changed to just update to 1101. Problem solved. And then when Firefox 12 comes out, we say, you know what, it's time to archive that article. But it would be really great if it seems like, especially around our people who answer questions in the forum, there's a lot of knowledge about what these problems are, how severe they are, and when they're not a problem anymore. And so I was thinking this might be a really great place to start with, a small team that could think about what should and shouldn't be documented around a release.
Okay.
And then the idea would be there's lots of things like that we could do this about, like updates to Firefox or new products that, come out, or, lots and lots of things. But a good place to start could be like this thing that we have every 6 weeks where we release a new Firefox and people have problems with it. Anyway, so I'll try to make that a smaller description and post today. That was that. Yes, and Vito says the sticky article that Chang posts is perfect. Yes, and so this would basically be building off of that work that we've. It's kind of an evolution, right, of the things that we've been doing the last few releases. So Chang will post all the things that he knows about. Like the night before, this is what I've been hearing. These are bugs that we know exist, and then we keep adding to that as people bring things up in the forum, And then so instead of necessarily having like this one article that's like this problem, this problem, this problem, this problem, this problem, that's also a mess of nested for statements and whatnot, we should probably just break that all up into articles. But we got to keep track of them all so that we can, archive them when it's time and update them when it's time to update them, those kind of things, so that they're not, it doesn't tell you later to apply this solution when you could just update Firefox to fix it, much simpler. Anyway, That's that.
Cool.
That's all I had about knowledge base. Michelle, anything about mobile you want to say?
Um, no, just we're in crunch time now, right? For we're always in crunch time
Oh,
for
because Firefox 13 stuff has to land by next week?
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah,
Oh, sorry.
for localizers, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Ebi?
I added some notes there. We have a meeting last week to review what's gonna be landing in the future versions. Uh, 11 is the major change. So we are launching add-on sync for those who haven't tried it on beta or Aurora in the past. Uh, jump in, go for it, try it. It works fine. You shouldn't bring any issue. It's already documented, so that's great. We review what's landing on 12. That is basically backend stuff and a link
Is what
to
stuff?
the backend.
Oh, backend stuff.
Yeah. And there's gonna be an addition of the link to the tabs from other computers. That's it's gonna show up in. So now you have it only in history. I think that the idea is that it will show up in bookmarks too. Let me quickly double check. It's a matter of increasing findability of that link. 1 second.
I thought it was in the little all tabs menu, which I seem to keep losing. What is that?
Yeah, the idea is that yeah, the thing is that it has been going going from one place to the other. So it says that it's gonna appear in the Firefox button history menu. So maybe I'm confused and in Windows doesn't show up. Either way, it's gonna show up in just another place, so that's all good.
What link is this, Ebi? The link to what?
Tabs from other computers. So when you
Oh,
have several computers synced, a lot of people think that tabs should appear on as default at open, but that's not the case to go through this button. Anyway, the major thing, sync as a backup service and browser ID are still TBD. Browser ID will potentially land in 13, but it's unclear. And the good thing is that for the upcoming releases with with the apps project, because of a side project to have secure data on the apps project, we might end up having some level of backup. Uh, I will keep you updated on that. There's nothing clear yet, but that will be a big win. And that's it.
Okay. Questions for Ebi? Support forum. Anything else to say about the support forum? So the other thing that's like not in here really, and so this is a reminder for everyone that we can. This is a wiki, and we can rearrange this thing any way we want. But you know, Madalena and Rosanna, there's not really a part here about community that's separate, like a separate thing. And if that makes sense to add that, just add that. Or if it makes sense to just talk about it in terms of, you know, services or support forum or whatever, then that's fine. Whatever it is that makes sense, you should feel free, of course, to change this up.
Cool.
I think
Especially,
there's
go ahead, Brown.
sorry, I think there's a question on the chat room here. Uh,
Oh, add-on help.
yeah.
Yeah,
Will Sumo also handle add-on help?
sort of. Eva, you wanna answer that one?
Uh, huh. Yeah, that's an open question, right? I think that people with more history in sumo has a better background. The idea is that we are not gonna change anything. So we are not gonna offer support to the, as usual, to the end add-on, but we'll be supporting the whole add-on ecosystem.
But then that changes sometimes when it's our add-on, when it's Mozilla's add-on. Like that's an experiment that may end up in Firefox. Like then we do kind of support
Oh,
that
yeah.
and
Yeah,
those
I
kind
mean,
of things.
if there are official add-ons, we kind of support them. Unofficially, I guess.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and as Vito said, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a side effect that we will end up supporting add-ons even if we don't want to. But
Yep.
officially, we're not doing it.
But if everyone
I mean,
comes here asking questions about it, I mean, we got to answer them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the thing. But we're not gonna document it. I mean, if somebody comes with a question about, I don't know, how to buy something on the Best Buy website and I know how to do it, I will help them. But that that doesn't say that we support that.
Right.
It's just that it takes the same amount of time to tell them, hey, go to this other site that give them the answer that you already know.
I was telling people how to reinstall Chrome the other day because I can just Google that for
Do.
you. Chang, you sounded like you were trying to say something.
oh yeah, I was just gonna say what Ibai was saying. Basically, we support it because we have to, but at the same time, also, one thing we do support is helping people remove add-ons.
Yes.
I'm just gonna say that that is something we actually support a lot, and so as long as we're clear about that's how it works, then that's fine.
All right. Anything else? No? That's it?
That's
What?
it.
We finished? What?
Well done.
I want to finish saying that I hate earthquakes.
Why? What? There was an
Oh, there
earthquake?
was an earthquake this morning, yeah.
There were two.
Really?
Really?
Oh, how
Yeah,
how bad was it?
it wasn't that bad, but it woke me up.
I
Do
didn't
you
feel
believe
it,
me,
but I guess
Shell?
it must have been closer to you guys.
It was at
No.
5 a.m. in the morning, two in a row.
Really?
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
You
No,
didn't feel it,
slept
Michelle?
right through. No,
Hardcore.
I slept right through that.
You get used to it by after a while. Just
Huh?
Michelle, you're used to them.
Totally. Anything at 5 a.m. I don't care what it is. It's not waking me up.
So, I mean, my daughter's, disappointed. I said, there was an earthquake this morning. She goes, I know, I'm always not there when there's an earthquake. I'm like, well, you kind of, that's a good thing, right? You should
it's not
generally,
That's a good thing.
if you can arrange it to be out of town every time there's an earthquake, that would be fine by me. Yeah.
Okay.
Alrighty.
Yes, yes, Vito, we're talking California. That's where me and Ebi are both here in San Francisco. So lots of little earthquakes. That's good. That's what they say.
yeah,
Lots
much
of
better
little
than
ones.
one big earthquake. Lots of little ones, way
Yeah.
better.
Yeah. City I come from has like around 50 little earthquakes a day. You
Yeah.
don't feel them, but
No.
that's good.
I don't even sound like myself today, Vito. I'm all scratchy.
Apparently it's in Berkeley.
Yeah, it's in El Cerrito.
Yeah, in El Cerrito.
Il
Oh.
Cerrito. I need to
Four.
learn to say that word.
El
It was a
Cerrito.
4?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
that's not
there are
good.
I
actually
know,
two.
seriously, like what?
It felt like one really long one, but the idea is that there were two, like one after the other,
Yep.
2.9 and 4.
Mm.
You can't even feel a 2.9 even if you're standing on top of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought that they were my neighbors. I always think that.
You yell at them. Be quiet! 5 o'clock in the morning. The heck?
Cool. So, see you next week.
Okay.
Alright.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.
Alright.
Bye.
Bye.